Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about feeding your chickens, and I created a document with notes, so it would have notes on feeding the chickens. So this is what I'm just going to, I just posted the notes right out there. You're not supposed to have the notes sitting next to you, or you're supposed to have, where other people don't see it, but I posted it right here. So I thought maybe I need to pay about $10 for 50 pounds, and that's up to you. You create your list and you decide how much you want to pay for your chicken feed, or are you just creating chicken feed that's healthier because you want your chickens you want to see what they're eating. So, and then I created a list of different things that I might could feed them, and I have corn, milo, wheat, whole oats, whole corn, black oil, sunflower seeds, split peas, flax seeds, sesame seeds, millet, rye, rice bran, cottonseed meal, soy meal, alfalfa meal, calcium, wild bird seed. I don't have grits there. Um, we have a lot of black oil, sunflower seeds that we bought before it went way, way up. We have a lot of them, and they seem to be good. And we also have wild bird seed, I think, that's mixed in with it that we bought when it was like much cheaper. So there is that. Whole oats. And then I was looking online, looking on the scratch mixes. You go to buy the scratch mixes and what's in the scratch mixes, right? So whole oats is a 50-pound bag where I live is about $30. Where a 50-pound bag of feed where I live is about $15 to $22, depending on where you get it from. We've been paying about $20 for the 50-pound bags that was 16% protein. And then I realized that I could start calling around and looking for farmer co-op stores, feed stores, and things like that. And I found I could get that for $15 for 50 pounds from them instead of buying it from, the local place that's, commercially owned, whatever you want to call it. The place I bought my chickens from. Anyway, so there is that. So corn, and some people say it's better to feed your chickens cracked corn, and some people say it's better and healthier to feed them whole corn. And so the corn, for a 15-pound bag of corn, is $12.50 at Walmart. So that's about 25 cents. So if you're measuring it, you divide $12.50, the cost per bag, by 50 pounds, and it shows 0.225, right? So that's how I was first pricing it out, like that. And corn at Tractor Supply is $11 for 40 pounds. And that's, some bags are 40 pounds, some bags are 50 pounds, which is 0.275. And then I got to figure out the drive. Is it closer to drive to Tractor Supply, or is it closer to drive to Walmart, right? And the gas money. So the wild bird seed is now $10 for 20 pounds at Walmart. So that's 0.55. And the wild bird feed is $18 for 35 pound at Tractor Supply, which is 0.514. And the scratch grains, and then you have to look at what's in it also. And the scratch grains are $13.50 for 40 pounds at Walmart, so that's 0.3375, right? And wild bird feed is $22 for 50 pounds at Kroger. I didn't put the dollar sign in there. And I mean, not at Kroger. See, I didn't even write down where that was, but I can get it for $22 for 50 pounds, or at Kroger I can get it for $9 for 20 pounds. And I think the 22 for 50 pounds was Walmart. And dry dog food. Did you know you could feed your chickens dry dog food? So maybe I could throw dry dog food in there and they enjoy it, and it's got a lot of nutrition in it. So These are some of the things you want to consider. You might want to make your own list. See, and I know that if you live in a different place from me, your prices are going to be so different because if I lived in Alabama, I could go to Royal King right now and I could get 16%, 50-pound bags of 16% protein chicken feed for only $11.70, right? But where I live, I can't get it for that price. So in order for me to go to that place, I'd have to drive for a long time. And even if I spent, $200 on chicken feed, it wouldn't be worth it. And the gas money for me to drive that far to get it for $11.70. And I don't think our car would make it. So we probably have to rent a car too. But $11.70 for chicken feed, that's so inexpensive, right? So then I'm looking, and a lot of these things went up, but I don't have the prices. And there's wheat, split peas, laying hen feed. I have 50 pounds, $20, $15 at another place, which is 0.30. Okay, mealworms, they said, I don't know about that. The bags, I guess. Alfalfa, chicken grits. So these are some of the things, because you want to make a list to decide what do you want to feed your chickens and what's healthier. Because you're trying to decide what's best for your chickens, and you're going online and you're looking for suggestions and you're looking for ideas. So instead of telling you do this, do that, I'm just going to walk you through some of the things that I've been looking into lately. Okay? So now, this is the interesting part. If I buy a 50-pound bag of soy or soy meal animal feed, and it's almost 50% protein, so that's like half protein. Now I divide it into 5 portions of 10 pounds, and I hope you can keep up with this, but I'm going to assume you can. This is what I was thinking while I was trying to go to sleep. And once you start thinking about things like this, you can't sleep. Anyway, so I divide that into 5 portions of 10 pounds to add each to a 40-pound bag of corn that costs $10 where I live. So that is now, instead of being 50% protein for the 50-pound bag, it is now 10% protein from the soy in there with the corn that's mixed in. So I got 10 pounds of soy. No, no, I don't. I have, now that doesn't sound right, does it? If I buy a 50-pound bag of soy and it's half of its protein, 50% protein, and I divide it into 5 portions of 10 pounds and add each portion to a 40-pound bag of corn, that costs $10. That's 10% protein from the soy. Is that really 10% protein from the soy? Because 50% of 10% is 5%. No, that's right. It's 10% protein from the soy. Why am I questioning myself? So, because 50 pounds is 100%, and 10%, and it's 10% protein, but it's 20% of the 50 pounds what's in the bag. So 20%, because 100% of the 50 pounds is 100%, right? So, and 10 pounds of the 50 pounds is 20% of that bag of 50 pounds, and half is protein, making that 10% protein. So you can see it now. I don't know if you can see it now. So if I buy a 50-pound bag of soy or soy meal animal feed, that's almost 50% protein, right? So I divide it into 5 portions of 10 pounds, and I'm still making 50-pound bags, and add each portion to a 40-pound bag of corn that costs $10. So then I have 10% protein from the soy that I've split up into 5 portions. So you can see that you can see it from both perspectives. From one perspective, you can see that I started out with 50 pounds, that was 50% protein, split it into 5 portions, and I'm making a 50-pound bag, so each portion is is 1/5 of that 50% protein, making it 10% protein. Also, you can see that in my 50-pound bag of chicken feed, 100% is the 50 pounds, and 20% of that 50 pounds is the 10 pounds. So half of 20% is, because of the 50%, half of 20% is 10%. So it's still 10% protein. Hopefully you can keep up with that, okay? I don't know why I was second guessing myself. I did the math so much better when I was trying to sleep last night. So, all right. So, and I don't know how much the soy costs, but if the soy costs less than $10 for each 10 pounds, that could save me money on chicken feed, since I've been paying $20 for the chicken feed because there's no Royal King store near me. So, and now if I buy it for $15, then, and I got $10 in it, it'll have to be less than $5. So 5 times, that would be $25. So it'd have to be between $25 and $50 for the soy, unless I'm going to buy it all the time at the farm co-op, which I probably will. So then $5 would be $25. Before I was looking at $50. So Royal King has 16% protein chicken feed for $11.70 in Alabama right now. I don't know if it's that price at your store. You might want to check. To me, that is dirt cheap. And if I'm going to mix my own chicken feed, I might put the 16%. I might put some of the chicken feed might actually be the 16% protein chicken feed, because that's what I've been feeding them. And honestly, we have a huge container that we put the 16% protein chicken feed in, because I know it has 16% protein chicken feed. I know there's 16% protein for them in there, and I want to make sure they get that. But I'm giving them snacks, and I'm mixing their snacks. So a lot of people are mixing their food and giving them food that they know, and they measure and they see, oh, I'm going to give them this much of this and that much of that, right? But I'm actually scooping it out and throwing it in there for treats, so that they have both. They have the 16% protein feed from, say, Tractor Supply or Farm Co-op or wherever we get it from. Plus, they have the combination. We've got the black sunflower seeds combined with wild bird seed, and we threw some corn in there and mixed it together, and I will throw that in there every now and then and say, hey, here's your treat, and they go nuts. So corn contains 10 to 15% protein, and corn feed around 10% protein, making it about, if I mix 40 pounds of corn with 10 pounds of my soy, that is about 20% protein. For the 50, it's supposed to be 50-pound, not FP. 50-pound combination of the 10 pounds of soy and 40 pounds of corn. Do you follow? So that's 20% protein, which is a high number of protein just from putting the soy in there. And some people do soy-free. So now, if I alter the mixture with wild bird seed and sunflower seeds or split peas or flax seeds or oats in place of some of the corn, it will alter the percentage of protein as well as the cost for the 50 pounds. After I figure out the cost of how much the soy is, which I'm not sure. And like I said, where you live, it may cost different. And so I want to figure that out. And I don't want to just have corn, like for a 40-pound bag of corn with 10 mixed with 10 pounds of soy. I'm giving you that for an example, because now I want to throw other things in, and I'll show you. See, so the corn is 80% of the feed. So instead of being 10% like I had put up here, you will find that instead of it, since it's 80% of the feed, it's no longer the 10% that it was in the 40-pound bag. Instead, it's 10% of 80%, which I believe is about 8%, making that about 18% protein in the 50-pound mixture, which is 40 pounds of corn and 10 pounds of soy, right? Now I want to alternate the corn for other things because I want to provide other nutrients for the chickens. I want to make sure they have other nutrients, right? But I want to make sure that the other things have the same percentage of protein or less than the corn. I want to try to keep it at 16% because they're supposed to have 16% protein. So right now I've got it 18% protein. So when I go mixing other things in, I want to make sure that it doesn't, fall below 16% protein, but the scratch grains do. But if this is what I'm feeding them instead of the 16% protein that they need to, have healthy eggs and things like that, I want to make sure that I replace it with something that has 16% protein. So right now I'm at 18% protein by mixing just corn and soy meal. So I want to throw things in there because I want them to have other nutrients though. So black oil, sunflower seeds are 15% protein, right? So, and 30% protein in flaxseed. Lentils and peas are about 26 to 27% protein. And I don't know, can they have lentils and split peas? Because I've seen that some people are feeding them lentils and split peas. But I've also read that you're not supposed to feed beans to the chickens, that they're not supposed to have them. So can they have lentils and split peas or not? Because, I'm not sure if they can or not, but that's 26 to 27% protein. Let's look it up. Can chickens eat lentils? Raw lentils. Uncooked beans and lentils can contain a compound called, whatever that is, it's poisonous to chickens. So if you're putting lentils and beans and things like that in your chicken feed, that's poisonous to chickens. So that's a big no-no. Right now you see that. It's poisonous to chickens. So you have to prepare that for the chickens. You'll need to wash them thoroughly and either boil them or cook them and soak them for days to feed your chickens the sprouts. You can't just say, oh, I'm mixing this in there and I'm going to feed it to the chickens and it's raw. Okay? So that's another thing. You need to check each item because you watch these YouTube videos and they're saying, oh, I'm throwing this in the mixture. But can your chickens have that? Can they eat raw flax seeds? I'm sure they can, right? Because it's seeds. But I don't know for sure because I didn't check. So one of the highly nutritious seeds is flax seeds. The answer is yes, they can have flax seeds. So each one of these, you need to check and see if they can eat it and what's healthy for them, right? So that's a no-no. That's interesting, isn't it? Because I was thinking, oh, I could buy split peas or lentils and throw it in there, but I can't because they can't eat it. Okay? And that's probably why they don't sell it at the chicken co-op store or in the chicken feed. So, even though lentils and peas are 26 to 27% protein, I'm going to have to wash them well and soak them until they sprout or for days or cook them. I don't want them to be rancid either. So, and there's 12% protein in oats. There's 16% in the chicken feed. So yes, I can purchase chicken pellets and throw it into my mixture because if I'm creating my own mixture of what to feed my chickens, then of course I can use that. Okay, so do some research on sprouting or fermenting food to see. And don't just watch YouTube videos that other people have done from watching other people's YouTube videos and say, oh, they're doing it this way, so I can do it this way. No, you're going to want to look online. You're going to want to ask. You're going to want to make sure, because you don't want to feed them rancid food that's, disgusting. Anyway, you can feed them some types of leftovers. Now, we go to the grocery store, and if they have marked down bread, they used to have marked down bread for 50 cents a loaf, right? And it wasn't stale, it was stuff we would eat at home ourselves. So we would get it and feed it to the chickens. But now it's more like 75 cents, or $1 for marked down bread. And I'm like, no, I'm not buying that. But, but we have the stuff, we're going to make our own soda bread all the time. So if we have leftovers of that, we might throw some of that out there for the chickens. I don't know. And I don't know if they can eat dandelions, but I put this in here because I want to look it up. And let's look it up now. Can chickens eat dandelions? Because we have dandelions that grow everywhere. And I know that I can eat dandelions, and I can make dandelion root tea and things like that because it's supposed to be healthy. But the dandelion is completely edible for people and chickens alike. Pull the dandelion out by the roots and toss them in the chicken coop to get rid of the weed from your lawn and feed your chickens all at once. Now, I don't want to get rid of the weed from my lawn because I want to feed it to my chickens. And I might go get the dandelion while it's in seed form from one of my, well, not my neighbor's yard, but the really close to the edge of the street that's not the neighbor's yard or the park or somewhere like that, and bring it home and blow those seeds all over my yard because, well, we don't have grass in our yard to mow, and that way it will grow in my yard and I can feed it to my chickens. Is that so wrong? No, I think it's a good idea because they can eat it. Apple cider vinegar. Okay, now, what about the apple cider vinegar? Putting apple cider. Can you tell it's early and I'm so tired? And chicken water. To use it for healthy chickens, chicken owners can simply add about 1 tablespoon per gallon in the chicken coop's water. Adding apple cider vinegar is an easy addition to the flock's diet for good health and boosting immune system. By adding it just once a week, chicken owners can support healthy chickens without breaking the bank. So sometimes we will throw a little apple cider vinegar in the chicken water. And I didn't know if you knew about that because I don't have, like, I might put a cup full of apple cider vinegar in about 8 ounces of water and drink it, but I don't do it every day. I just do it sometimes for my own health. And I'm like, well, can I do that for my chickens, right? And I lost my place because, see, I stayed up late last night because I kept, I'm trying to go to sleep and all these things are running through my head and I'm trying to make notes of them. So, and it says some uneaten fruits and vegetables going out, but seeds into the garden. Because that's what I do. I have my garden, and during the winter and things like that, if I don't eat all of, like, say, tomatoes, I'm probably not going to feed the tomatoes. I will throw those out in the garden so that the seeds get there, and then come summer, all of a sudden, there's tomatoes growing, and my husband's like, where do they come from? We didn't even plant tomatoes. But it's because I throw the seeds out there. So, and then it says, food being thrown away at a pizza place or a diner or grocer, haha. And because can you go to a restaurant or a pizza place or somewhere and are they going to give you that? Are they going to give you that food? And are you going to know what's in it? What's on these people's pizzas? Because some of these things the chickens can't have. So how are you going to know what's in them? Right? And are you going to be digging through the dumpster to get that food for your chickens? I don't know about that because you don't know what's in it, right? Anyway, and you're probably going to get in trouble. And you might get hurt. Anyway, but if you work at a diner or a restaurant and you're making sure it's not going to be rancid or stale and you know exactly what you're putting in it, you might can. Anyway, worms out on a rainy day, maybe. So if you had it's a rainy day and there's worms out there, you might can take some of those worms and throw them to the chickens. Okay? Now, cereal or chips or expired granola bars. Now, sometimes the granola bars have just expired. They're still good. My husband will eat them. I will not because I don't want to. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to eat it. It's expired. And my husband's like, oh, it's good forever. And he'll keep eating them for months, right? And I buy a lot. I have like a tub of granola bars for snacks that I keep. In case we have an emergency, we have that tub of granola bars, depending on how full it is at the time. And just my luck, it'd be an emergency and it'd be almost empty, right? Because it's like, oh, we have a generator for emergency backup for electric or heat or whatever, but then there's no gas in the gas can out there when you need it, right? Because that's the way it happens. And if you don't run your generator every 6 months, your generator's not even going to work. So you're going to go to use your generator after it's been sitting out there for a year, and it's not going to work because you didn't stop and run it every 6 months. And you're going to need to clean out the carburetor or something. And are you going to know how to clean out the carburetor? Anyway, now I'm rambling off the topic. So sometimes they eat cereal and they don't close the bag. So then when you go to eat cereal, it tastes stale. Or we'll have chips. So it's not rancid. It's just, and I'm going to throw that out to the chickens because cereal's healthy. And some of the potato chips, like we eat Fritos and things like that, it may not be healthy for my chickens, but to me, I'm like, oh, that's a good treat. It depends on the kind of chips that it is. I may not feed them the cheesy puffs, but sometimes they don't close the bags of chips. And even though, it's not a house full of children, it's actually a house full of adults. So you think they would, but they don't. And they'll be like, oh, this is stale. Do we throw it out? Well, no, I'm probably going to feed it to the chickens as a treat, right? And farmers' trash, like they grew the garden and some of the things in the garden they weren't able to sell. So it's just starting to go bad. Some of the things, yes, you can feed the chickens, but some of them, no. So, and then it says crushing eggshells into powder. Can chickens eat that? I would think they can. So let's look it up and find out. Crushed eggshells can be fed to laying hens as a source of extra calcium, but they shouldn't be the only source of calcium. And you don't want them to say, oh, I'm eating this eggshells. Maybe I'll start eating my eggs. So maybe if I can crush it into as powdery as I can get it. Chickens always need access to shell grit, even if you are giving them crushed eggshells as well, and regardless of whether they are free range. So they still need to have that the grit. It looks like little rocks, I guess. How do you prepare eggshells for chickens? So you can look at spread your collection of half crushed eggshells on baking sheets and bake until the shells become brittle. Some people say you should bake the shells to kill the bacteria. And this is off of the Prairie Homestead when I googled it. That's where it came from, so I don't know. And then so you can look. Oh, I don't know about the store-bought, can you? Myth. It's okay to feed your chicken shells from the store-bought eggs or friends or neighbor's chicken. Those shells might contain bacteria that your chicken systems aren't used to and can make them sick, so don't recommend it. Yeah, because the egg shells have stuff on them that can be yucky, so you have to clean them and cook them and put them into powder. So you got to think of these things, or you have to research it, right? Or just go buy the calcium, and then you don't have to worry about it and do all that work. So that's questionable in my mind about the eggshells. I've never fed the chicken eggshells, and I have so many questions about it that I don't think I'm going to do it. They can't have caffeine. Filtered rainwater, I don't know about that. I have things for filtering water that I have bought from online, and I've bought it from the local pet store for like filtering water for aquariums and things like that. So, and I have different types of material so that I can build a filter for my own water. And if there's an emergency, so I can layer the different types of material. And one of them is, it's just things that you put in the aquarium, I think. So some of them I bought from Amazon, some of it I bought from a pet store for, and then I have different types of, you can get sand and gravel, and there's different types of beads, like cation beads and things like that. You would have to look that up and know how to filter the rainwater. And then there's not only the cation beads, but there's also the beads that you can buy at the pet store. There's those beads that you get when you connect filters to your faucet. You can look on eBay and see what's in them. So if you're creating a filter for rainwater, you can check that out. But I made a note of that, and I'm not going to go into heavy detail about it, but that just gives you a little bit to think about, okay? Dog food. Can you feed chickens dog food? Isn't that interesting? So I looked this up earlier, and I will show you can chickens, because it sounds like it's for dogs, that it's not for chickens, right? And it says, so chickens can eat dog food. Yes, and they enjoy it. It's healthy for your dogs, and apparently it's healthy for your chickens too. So you might want to know how much protein's in it, though. So I thought that was interesting. And then I go back here, and I'm like, I lost my place. Mark down pet food, there it is. Or open bags at the Tractor Supply Shop, Farm Co-op, or local feed store, because it's, if you call the local farm co-op store or the local feed stores, you can find out how much their things cost compared to Walmart, Tractor Supply, Home Depot, Lowe's, things like that. And often the farm co-op store, local feed store might be less expensive, okay? It's not less expensive than the Royal King store right now, though, I can tell you that, because the Royal King store is so inexpensive, and so far I can't get to it. So, and then I was thinking, what if I look into what I can grow in the garden and have it bolt to seeds for the chickens, if anything, right? Or can I grow like sunflower seeds maybe and give that to the chickens? I bet I could, because where I live, we can grow lots of things. Lots of things grow really well in the area that I live in. So, and then I want to know, what can I not feed my chickens? What can my chickens not eat, right? So hens and chickens should not be fed scraps that contain anything high in fat or salt. So if we're having ham for dinner and it's got all this fat on it and stuff like that, I don't want to take that out and feed it to my chickens, right? Or if there's a lot of salt in the food, we use that Lorry seasoned salt like crazy. I don't want to feed that to the chickens. And it says, do not feed them food that is rotten or spoiled. So then you have to have a list of foods that your chickens can't eat. And if you're not going to remember it, you might want to put it in the chicken coop on the door or somewhere, a list. Don't feed this to the chickens. And that way other people can see it and they know. Don't feed them raw potatoes. Don't feed them avocados. Don't feed them chocolate. Don't feed them coffee grounds. It's not on here, but no, they can't have coffee grounds. They can't have onions. They can't have garlic. So if you're pulling weeds out of the garden of crops that you grew, they can't have tomato leaves. A lot of things. So if you can't just pull random weeds out of the garden and feed them to the chickens, because there might be tomato leaves in there. There might be onions and garlic. You got to know what's in there before you go throwing it in there. Citrus fruits. So if you're feeding them fruits, you can't feed them like oranges or lemons or limes or citrus fruits. They can't have it. Don't feed them uncooked beans, right? Don't feed them uncooked. It says no uncooked beans, no split peas, no lentils. Cook them first or soak them first and make sure that's not rancid, right? You can't give them uncooked rice either. And you don't want to give them rice that's been sitting there so long that it's not good anymore, even if it's cooked. So you got to make sure it's healthy and it's safe. You don't want to give them fried food. Maggots. It says not to give them maggots. So maggots was a no-no. It says chickens will eat as many maggots. They're high in protein. They're highly nutritious. But another place says no. How did I Google search that? What can I not feed my chickens? So one place says I can and one place says I can't. So one place says not to feed them maggots. And this is here, right here. And we're going to, it says, hens should never be fed food scraps that contain anything high in fat or salt, and do not feed them food that is rancid or spoiled. Specific type of foods that hens should not be fed include raw potato, avocado, chocolate, onion, garlic, citrus fruit. And we're going to go to this website and read this, because I think this website was okay. If you're unsure about whether a type of food is safe to feed your hen, it is best to check it first with an expert. That doesn't mean a YouTube video, right? Okay, and this has a lot of information. And where did it say about the maggots? Is this the one that said about the maggots? Well, this is not the one that said about the maggots. That's crazy. One of the places said not to feed them maggots, and I can't even remember why. And that one's saying you can. So anyway, I don't want to be here all day looking for it. So that one's iffy, because one website said no, you cannot feed them fried food. I swear it was that one. I swear it was this one that said maggots. Hold on. Chocolate, apple seeds, apricot pits and leaves. And I don't even have that on my list. And green potato skins. Oh yeah, that's, but you can't have raw potatoes anyway, so you can't feed them potato skins. So you want to know that. That's an important thing. I think that you should take the time and look that up instead of just going by what I said, because like I said, I found maggots in one place that said no, do not feed them maggots, because it said that it's got, I can't remember, it said it'll make them sick, and maybe what the maggots are growing from, it will make them sick, and the maggots themselves might make them sick. And another website is saying yes, they love maggots. So I don't know. No raw meat. Don't feed them raw meat, because you don't want to feed them raw chicken, because they'll get salmonella. No tomato leaves. So if you're dumpster diving for their food or getting leftovers from the diner where you work, who will know what's in it? So, oh, and don't collect random mushrooms from around the yard to feed it to them either, as that's a huge no-no. Okay, so, oh yeah, and I put this note in here. We bought 20 packs of chicken nuggets. This was years back, and because I'm much older than I sound. Anyway, we caught my son out there, and he was feeding leftovers to the rooster. We had a pet rooster. While he was calling it a cannibal and laughing, saying, "Oh, the rooster loves chicken nuggets." And he had done it before, and the rooster just loved it. Because it was a pet rooster, we fed it whatever we wanted to. We had the pet rooster. We had two of them. Somebody had given us two roosters because we had scorpions in the yard. We were trying to get rid of the scorpions. And we had all these wild cats, and we had moved there. There were scorpions, so we brought the wild cats with us. And it was really hard to catch them and bring them. And then we had the two pet roosters, and they would sleep next to our bedroom. But then we had new neighbors, And one of the neighbors came into our yard and stole one of our roosters. And so we had the other one that slept right underneath our bedroom. And then they came over later, a different neighbor. And I'm not going to tell you where they were from, but they came and stole the other rooster. So then they have fenced in their yard. And we're like driving by, and I'm looking, I'm like, hey, that's my rooster. And I'm yelling, that's my rooster. And the girl, the daughter, is a teenager, grabs the rooster and runs behind the car to try to hide that they have our rooster, right? And then pretty soon they have all kinds of chickens and roosters. They only had ours at first, but then they went and got some more and said, oh, we're selling these. And then I was like, what? And then I saw them one day, and they were out in their yard. They were taking their chickens, and they would chop them up in the yard and cut them up and cook the chicken in the yard, which I'd never seen anybody do, but I hope they didn't do that to our rooster, because our rooster was pretty old, and I think the meat would be pretty tough if they did that, but I don't know why. They stole our rooster, and we loved the rooster because like I said, we just fed it whatever we wanted to feed it, and it just ran loose in our yard, and we had 3 acres, but it really didn't go anywhere. It just stayed right by our bedroom. That's where it stayed. So, and it mostly ate bugs and whatever was in the yard. But okay, so eggs now. I also want to mention now, eggs are so expensive. They're so expensive. We went to the store and they're what, $3, $4 a dozen. I think they're like $4 a dozen, close to it. So when raising chickens, if you're raising, everybody where I live went out and bought chickens this past year. I mean, Tractor Supply was selling baby chicks and they could not keep them in stock. People were just buying them left and right. So when you're raising chickens, if you're raising chickens, just to save money on buying eggs because they're so expensive, and that's another thing. What if it's winter? You know how there's a storm? One of the things that you go to the grocery store, if there's a storm coming, or there might be, oh, we might have a tornado, or we might have rain, or we might have snow, and you won't be able to leave because in the south you can't leave the house if there's snow because the roads, just an inch or two of snow sticking on the ground makes the roads turn into a sheet of ice. So you get somebody that's used to driving in Wyoming weather, and they're thinking, oh, I can drive in the snow there. I can drive in the snow in the south if it's only an inch or two. But it's not, because the road is a sheet of ice because we have, um, what do you call it, high humidity. There's a lot of moisture in the air. So people raising their own chickens, they don't have to worry about not having food because they have eggs at home all the time. And if you have enough eggs, you know, last time we had chickens, we were always giving eggs to our neighbor, and our neighbor knows a lot of people, and she goes around and she does things where she meets, where she knows all these different people that she meets. She goes to a variety of people's houses almost every day for her job and what she does to make a living. So then if we give her our extra eggs, and if we have a lot of them, we could easily, give her, if we had them. We don't have 5 or 6 dozen eggs extra a day. We don't. But if we have, like if we take once a week and give her 3 or 4 dozen eggs, she'll be able to get rid of them between her family and the places she goes. So that way the eggs are not wasted. We don't waste the eggs. And then we have a dog, and the neighbors had dogs. People drop off stray dogs where we live. So everybody in the neighborhood takes in a stray, and I'm allergic to dogs, but we have a dog because it was pregnant and somebody dropped it off, and we started feeding it because we felt sorry for it, and then we had to learn how to deliver the puppies and what to feed them and how to give them shots and things like that. So at that time we got rid of our chickens to have a place to put the puppies and the dog because we didn't have that many chickens, and I couldn't keep them in the house, and I didn't want anything to happen to the puppies, and I knew somebody that sold eggs that wanted our chickens, so now we have new chickens again. And that's the only area we had to keep the puppies and the doggy safe in the yard, was the chicken coop. Plus we had the heat light out there for them too. So you just care about animals. You love animals. And sometimes you're like, oh, I can have these eggs, but oh, I love this doggy and these babies. And I probably could have given them to a shelter, but I just felt so bad for what would happen. So, and then the mother dog we ended up keeping and getting fixed. So we have a dog and I'm allergic to her. And yes, she is in the house at night and in winter and things like that. Even though I'm allergic to her, I might stay in one section and have her stay in another area. So, and she'll go for walks with me. And I need the exercise, so that's wonderful. So, and I'm off the topic again. So, eggs are very expensive now, but when raising chickens, you have to figure out how much does it cost for things like the feed, and how much does it cost to build a chicken coop. And you can look at our video on how we build our coop, and now we're redoing it. So, we're going to start doing new videos on how we're redoing our chicken coop. And are you selling the extra eggs and making enough money to pay for things like chicken feed? Right? Because if you sell your extra eggs, you might can pay for a chicken feed. It depends on how many of you are there. They used to say back in the day that you should have 2 chickens for every person in the house, and that way, if they lay 2 eggs a day, you can eat 2 eggs a day for each person in the house. And I don't know how they do it now because that's a lot of years ago. So, I'm not that old quite, but I'm pretty old. So, and that's another thing. Oh, and will you ever be able to eat store-bought eggs again after eating fresh eggs from your chickens? And that's a thing. I will eat the fresh eggs from my chickens, and after that, I used to could go out to restaurants and order breakfast and have toast and eggs and bacon. But now, when I eat the eggs and they're store-bought eggs and they're not kept cold and they're sitting at the room temperature in the kitchen and they're taking them, and I taste the eggs and they don't taste good at all. Whereas I have these fresh chicken eggs at home and it tastes like eating butter. And I don't mean like margarine, I mean like butter. It's like creamy, it's good, it's rich, the eggs are so good. But if I go to a restaurant, I'm like, honey, do you want my eggs? Because ew, they don't taste good to me anymore. And then the store-bought eggs to me taste better than the eggs in the restaurant, but not that much better. They're not they're not near as good as the fresh eggs from the chickens. And if I go to buy chicken eggs from somebody else, I you know I want to know that they're giving me the eggs that they collected that day and not eating the eggs themselves that they collected that day and giving me eggs from like a week ago that they were going to throw away and selling me those. I worry about things like I have trust issues. I do. So I have my own eggs. I raise my own chickens. And if I go to give chicken eggs to the neighbors, I will take the fresh eggs from that day and give those to my neighbors. I'm not going to give them the eggs from like a week ago. Those I'm going to eat myself. Isn't that funny? because because that's how I treat people, because I feel like you should treat people the way you want to be treated. And that's my video, people. So, and I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something from it. And like I said, if you see anything on here that's in the list of feeding things like split peas, don't feed those to your chickens. Look up each thing and see how healthy they are and if you can feed that to your chickens and if your chickens can eat it. Corn. Can your chickens eat corn? Do you think corn is healthy for your chickens? And do you think they should eat whole corn? Do you think they should eat cracked corn? And what types of things should they have? Do your own research. Don't just look at a video and say, oh, this is what so and so says, so this is what I'm going to do, right? No. Do your own research and make sure you ask. I would go to the local extension office or call an extension office if you don't have a local extension office. Maybe email between 3 and 5 different extension offices and ask them different questions where people have a lot of chickens, where the extension office, if they're familiar with chickens and things like that and animals, a place where there's farms, and ask farmers and ask experts. Call Tractor Supply and make sure that the person that you see. We have a Tractor Supply and we have a variety of people. Some of them are new and they don't know anything, but then we have the one person And the one person is much older. They raise chickens. They've raised chickens for a lot of years, and they have good information. So it also depends on who you ask. And so we won't talk to the other people because we know that they don't have as much knowledge as that one person. So we'll wait till that one person's there that's been raising chickens for years, and then we'll ask them a lot of questions, and they'll point to us and tell us, this is what you need for your baby chicks. This is what you need for the adult chickens. This is what you should add to the water for the baby chicks so that they get extra nutrition and vitamins and keep them from getting sick. And this is what you can give them. And so they have all this information. And so to me, don't just watch a video or two and say, oh, this is what I got from this video. A lot of people are brand new to having chickens, right? Brand new. This is my first chickens. I'm going to put out YouTube videos of how to create food for the chickens, even though I've never had chickens before, right? That's a lot of people do that. So you can't watch a video and say, oh, they're experts because they created a video. You might watch a video of somebody trying to lay tile or do a tile shower, and they've never done it before. They're just doing it for the video. So you really got to do your own research and ask experts and make your own lists. So this is my list, and this is how I'm creating my own list. But like I said, our chickens have feed that we bought. We have feed that we bought from Tractor Supply, and we have feed that we bought from the Farmers Co-op, and it has 16% protein in it. And the other feed that I'm mixing together, which is right now it's black seeds, wild bird seed, things like that. It's got corn in it. I will throw that out there for a treat. But I want to make sure they still have plenty of protein. So, and I'm gonna toss other things in there and mix it around. And I'm one of those people, I'm looking at what's low cost because we live on a total budget. We are very tight with our budget. So like I said, I got the black. If I hadn't got the black oil sunflower seeds when they were low cost, they wouldn't be out there. And I found the corn, it's low cost, and the wild bird feed. I made sure it was things that was good for the chickens, and I asked about it. And when I got it, it was cost way less, and mixed it in there. So now I'm looking at other things. What else can I throw in there? I want to throw them. I want to give them calcium, but I'm not sure I don't think I want to mix it in with their feed. And like the corn, when I mix it in there, I don't mix it all the way to the bottom because it's a big, huge trash can full of black oil sunflower seeds. So I'll take some corn and mix it in with the top and throw it in there because I think the corn, I don't know if it's going to collect. I don't know if the corn's going to go bad. And I don't want it mixed down all the way to the bottom. If the corn goes bad, then it's going to make all my feed bad. So I may not mix it together, where some people just take everything and they mix it together. It might take me a long time to use it because, like I said, I have a lot of the black oil sunflower seeds and I have a lot of the wild bird feed. And I have it in a place where it stays dry. So anyway, that's just my thoughts. And please feel free to leave comments. So, and like I said, do your own research. Don't look at my research and say, oh, this is what I should do. This is what I shouldn't do. Do your own research. Check with experts. Don't consider me an expert just because I've been doing research and I'm sharing my research with you. Doesn't make me an expert. So it just makes me somebody that's been doing research and I'm sharing my research with you. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in, and please feel free to leave comments and have a great day. Wow, that was a long video. Bye-bye.